Hello, and welcome to Somniora Mind. I'm glad you're here. Here's a paradox to carry into tonight's long, slow drift. Nature rarely announces its strangest secrets loudly. The most astonishing things on this planet tend to hide in plain sight, under a single footstep, inside an ordinary raindrop, behind the quiet, dry silence of a desert that hasn't seen rain in years. So here are 3 quiet questions to fall asleep inside of. What is actually living in the small patch of soil beneath your window right now? Why would a plant need a memory when it doesn't have a brain to keep one in? And is it possible that a stone, given enough centuries, could take a slow, secret walk across a valley floor? Here's where we begin, with a fact worth sitting inside of. In a single teaspoon of ordinary, healthy soil, there can be more living organisms than there are people on the entire planet. Let that settle for a moment. Not metaphorically, an actual, measured population, bacteria, fungi, and countless small creatures too tiny to see, all packed into a spoonful of dirt beneath your feet. Tonight isn't about racing through fact after fact. It's about wandering, slowly, through some of the strangest, gentlest corners of the natural world, the ones most people walk straight past every single day without ever noticing. Get comfortable. Let your shoulders soften into whatever is holding you. Let your breathing slow into something long and unhurried. We have a long, quiet road ahead of us tonight, so there's no need to rush any part of it. When you're ready, let's begin right where every ecosystem on land actually begins, underground. Beneath your feet, right now, wherever you happen to be resting, an entire hidden civilization is quietly at work. That single teaspoon of soil holds billions of microscopic organisms, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and tiny creatures like nematodes and mites, invisible without a microscope, yet responsible for nearly everything happening above them. This dense, living network breaks down fallen leaves, recycles nutrients back into a form plants can use, and even exchanges chemical signals with the roots growing through it. Without this constant, quiet labor, the entire visible world of forests, meadows, and gardens would eventually collapse. Scientists are still discovering new species hidden in soil samples, organisms that have never been named or studied by anyone before. It's a strange thing to consider, drifting off tonight, that under the sole of an ordinary shoe lies a city of life, so vast it dwarfs the entire human population, working quietly, endlessly, to keep the whole visible world standing. That same unseen intelligence reaches upward into the trees themselves. Beneath a forest floor, fungi spread out into vast networks of impossibly thin threads called mycelium, connecting the roots of different plants together into something researchers have started calling the Wood Wide Web. Through this hidden network, trees can share nutrients, send chemical warnings, and support one another in ways that look almost deliberate. A tree under insect attack might release a signal that prompts its neighbors to start producing their own protective compounds in advance. An older, larger tree might quietly funnel sugars toward a smaller, shaded seedling nearby, helping it survive long enough to eventually reach the light on its own. None of this involves anything like a conscious decision, the way it would for you or me. But it is deeply, genuinely cooperative, a forest behaving less like a crowd of competitors and more like a single, sprawling, quietly communicating community. What looks, from above, like a still and silent forest is, underground, humming constantly with conversation. Plants carry a surprising amount of awareness above ground, too. Many species can actually taste when they're being eaten. When a caterpillar bites into a leaf, certain chemicals in the insect's saliva trigger the plant to release bitter or toxic compounds. making that same leaf far less appetizing within moments. In some cases, the plant sends out an airborne signal that warns nearby plants of the same species to activate their own defenses before any actual damage reaches them. Acacia trees in parts of Africa are known for this exact behavior, filling the air with a chemical warning that can prompt an entire stand of trees to defend itself almost simultaneously. This isn't taste in the way we experience it. It's a kind of chemical detection happening at the cellular level. But to the insect doing the biting, it must feel a little like a meal turning sour mid-bite for no visible reason at all. Some plants carry something even stranger than a reflex, something closer to a memory. After surviving a period of severe drought, certain plants have been shown to remember that stress through lasting changes in how their genes are expressed. If another drought arrives later, they respond more quickly the second time, closing their leaf pores sooner and activating protective chemicals faster than they did before. There's no brain involved in any of this, and nothing resembling a stored image or a story. Only a quiet chemical signal, lingering long after the original event, shaping how the plant responds to hardship the next time it comes around. It's a strange kind of resilience, built not from thought, but from a kind of patient, wordless learning written directly into the plant's own biology. There's a gentler kind of exchange, too, happening between forests and the people who wander through them. Walk into a forest and breathe deeply, and you might notice an almost immediate sense of calm settling over you. Part of that comes from compounds trees release called phytoncides, chemicals meant to protect the plant itself from pests and disease. When humans inhale them, they appear to lower stress hormones and even boost immune function. In Japan, the practice of spending slow, mindful time among trees is known as Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, and the effect isn't only psychological. Researchers have measured real physiological changes after time spent this way. It's almost as if the forest quietly shares a small part of its own resilience with anyone who slows down long enough to receive it. A quiet exchange carried on nothing but the air itself. Not every quiet arrangement between species is gentle, though. Deep in the undergrowth of tropical forests, a much stranger relationship plays out. A particular fungus infects certain ants, spreading through the insect's body and eventually releasing chemicals that alter its behavior entirely, compelling it to leave the safety of its colony and climb to a high, exposed perch. There, the fungus kills its host and grows a stalk directly from its body, releasing spores into the air below to infect the next unlucky passerby. The height and position aren't random. They're precisely tuned for spreading spores as widely as possible. It sounds almost like science fiction, a parasite quietly hijacking its host's nervous system to serve its own reproduction. And yet it's simply one more thread in the rainforest's enormous, intricate web of life, equal parts unsettling and remarkable in its precision. There's a gentler kind of farming happening underground as well. Leafcutter ants are among the most industrious workers on the entire planet, cutting and carrying pieces of leaves back to their underground colonies, not to eat directly, but to feed to a special fungus they carefully cultivate in tended, living gardens. That fungus breaks the tough plant material down into something the ants can actually digest, and the relationship runs so deep that neither species can survive without the other anymore. Colonies can contain millions of individuals, each one holding a specific role, from cutting to gardening to defending the nest itself. It's an entire hidden agricultural system, refined over millions of years, quietly operating beneath the forest floor long before humans ever thought to plant a single seed of our own. Let's rest here a moment. Breathe in slowly, for a count of 4. Hold it. Let it go, slower than it came. Somewhere beneath the ground you're resting on, or a ground very much like it, that same quiet, industrious world is still working, patiently, the way it always has, long before you arrived and long after you drift off to sleep. Let's turn now, gently, toward the oldest and strangest of the plant world's residents, the trees that have outlasted entire civilizations. In quiet, wind-scoured corners of the American West grow bristlecone pines so old that some individuals exceed 4,000 years of age. They grow slowly, twisting into sculpted, weathered shapes under decades of wind and snow, their bark rough and pale, but still very much alive. Inside each trunk, the tree's growth rings hold a living record of every year that has passed. Wet years and dry years, storms and calm seasons, all quietly written into the wood itself. These trees have survived, in part, by adapting rather than resisting, letting parts of themselves die back during harsh years, and simply growing again once conditions improve. To stand near one is to stand in the presence of something that began its life before the pyramids were built, and is, even now, quietly preparing to grow new leaves come spring, exactly as it always has. Some trees respond to real danger with genuine architecture. In fire-prone regions, giant sequoias have developed thick, spongy bark, sometimes reaching 2 feet in depth, insulating the living tree from heat that would destroy almost anything else nearby. Certain pines and eucalyptus species keep their buds protected safely beneath their bark, ready to regrow quickly once a fire has passed. In fact, for many of these trees, fire isn't simply survivable, it's essential. Flames clear away competing plants and help stubborn seeds finally germinate, and sequoia cones themselves are built to open specifically in response to heat, releasing seeds directly into freshly cleared, nutrient-rich soil. What looks, from the outside, like pure destruction becomes, for these trees, simply another beginning. Other trees have found an entirely different kind of resilience, not standing alone, but never really standing alone at all. In a high mountain grove in Utah spreads an enormous colony of quaking aspens known as pando, every visible trunk connected beneath the surface to a single, shared root system. Above ground, it looks like an ordinary forest of individual trees. Below ground, they are, genetically, the very same organism, spanning more than 100 acres and estimated to be thousands of years old. This underground connection means the entire colony can recover remarkably quickly from damage, sending up new shoots to replace whatever is lost, as though the forest itself refuses to consider any single trunk truly essential to its survival. There's a slower, stranger kind of motion happening in the rainforests of Central and South America, too. The so-called walking palm grows multiple stilt-like roots that can sprout in new directions entirely. If one side of the tree becomes shaded by newer growth nearby, it sends fresh roots out toward brighter patches of light, while the older roots on the shaded side slowly die away. Over time, this shifts the trunk's position by several centimeters a year, not quite a stride, but a genuine, gradual migration all the same. It doesn't walk the way an animal does, but it moves, patiently, toward whatever light it needs, in its own unhurried, vegetal way. In the driest landscapes on Earth, other trees have learned an entirely different survival trick, simply storing enough water to outlast the drought itself. The baobab tree of Africa can hold thousands of liters of water inside its swollen trunk, sustaining itself, and often the surrounding wildlife and people as well, through years-long droughts. Desert succulents manage something similar on a smaller scale, sealing water away behind waxy coatings in their thick leaves and stems to prevent it from evaporating. In landscapes where rain might not fall for months or even years, these plants become living reservoirs, quietly holding on to life until the world finally turns green again. And when spring finally does arrive, some trees announce it in a way you can practically watch happen. Sugar maples, as temperatures swing between freezing nights and thawing days, experience shifting internal pressure that pushes sap steadily through their vessels. It can take more than 40 liters of that sap just to produce a single liter of maple syrup, and yet a single healthy tree, in a good season, might produce hundreds of liters of sap all on its own. That sap does more than sweeten a human breakfast table. It carries water and nutrients to every part of the tree, fueling entirely new growth. Watching it drip slowly from a tap in a sunlit forest is, in its own quiet way, like watching a tree's own heartbeat, keeping time with the slow, steady arrival of spring. There's a similar kind of breathing happening on an entire continental scale in the Amazon rainforest. The forest is so vast and so dense that it effectively creates its own weather. Each day, billions of liters of water vapor rise from its canopy through a process called transpiration. That moisture climbs, cools, and condenses into clouds, which later fall back down as rain, feeding the very same forest that produced them in the first place. This cycle helps keep the Amazon green and lush even through its drier months, and it influences weather patterns far beyond South America, affecting rainfall thousands of miles away. From above, the rainforest seems to breathe out great plumes of moisture, shaping its own climate like an enormous, slow, living heart, quietly pumping water into the sky above it, day after day, without ever needing to be told to. Some plants carry an internal clock precise enough to rival any timepiece we've ever built. Many species track the length of daylight itself through a process called photoperiodism, using it to decide exactly when to flower, grow, or shed their leaves for the season. Certain chrysanthemums, for instance, will only bloom once nights reach a specific length, while other species wait instead for days to grow long enough to guarantee proper summer pollination. This internal timing can be so precise that a plant kept entirely under artificial light, with no access to the actual sun at all, will still open and close its flowers at exactly the correct time regardless. A subtle, wordless intelligence that lets a plant quietly synchronize its entire life with the turning of the seasons, whether or not it ever actually sees the sky. A few plants have taken that internal control even further, learning to generate real, measurable heat of their own. The eastern skunk cabbage can produce enough warmth to melt the snow directly around it in early spring through a process called thermogenesis. Rapid chemical reactions inside its own cells that produce warmth instead of simply storing energy for later. That heat helps release the plant's scent more effectively and keeps the flower active even in cold, early season weather, drawing in pollinators before most other plants have even begun to stir. In certain tropical regions, other plants use a similar trick simply to intensify their scent, pulling in pollinators from much greater distances than the smell alone could otherwise reach. It's a rare ability and a strange one to imagine. A plant, quietly and deliberately, generating its own warmth, doing something we usually only ever associate with animals. In the rainforests of Central and South America live frogs with skin so translucent you can see straight through to their own internal organs. These glass frogs can, when resting, shift blood away from their skin entirely, becoming even more transparent and blending seamlessly into the leaves around them to avoid predators. This unusual ability isn't purely about camouflage, either. It also helps regulate their body temperature, and offers some protection from ultraviolet light. Seeing one up close must feel almost unreal, like looking directly at a living anatomy lesson, its small heartbeat visibly pulsing beneath a delicate, pale green surface. Let's turn now toward water, because some of the strangest landscapes on this entire planet are hiding beneath its surface. Beneath the waves, in total darkness where sunlight never reaches, rivers can still flow. These aren't rivers of fresh water, but dense currents of salty, sediment-heavy water moving along the seafloor itself. One striking example winds for more than 60 miles beneath the surface of the Black Sea, carving channels and carrying nutrients exactly the way a river does on land. These underwater rivers tend to form where bodies of water with different salinity meet, creating a boundary where the heavier water sinks and flows separately from everything above it. Divers who have explored these strange currents describe an eerie sensation, swimming through one distinct river of water, nested inside an entirely different ocean, the layers visibly separate even in the dim underwater light. There's an even stranger river deep in the Peruvian Amazon, one locals call the Boiling River. Its water can reach temperatures close to the boiling point, hot enough to be lethal to any small animal unlucky enough to fall in. Unlike a volcanic hot spring, this river's heat comes from geothermal activity far underground, where water seeps deep into the earth, warms slowly, and eventually returns to the surface. Stretching for nearly 4 miles through dense jungle, its surface is almost constantly wrapped in steam curling upward into the canopy above. For nearby communities, the river carries deep cultural and spiritual significance. For scientists, it's a quiet reminder that the Earth's own internal heat can shape a landscape dramatically, even in a place with no volcano anywhere nearby. In a few rare, especially fortunate coastal spots, the ocean itself seems to come alive after dark. Certain bays are filled with microscopic organisms called dinoflagellates, capable of producing a soft, otherworldly glow whenever they're disturbed. Every splash, every paddle stroke, every passing fish sets off tiny sparks of light, turning the surrounding water into something that looks almost like liquid starlight. One of the most famous examples, Mosquito Bay in Puerto Rico, glows brightly enough that you could trace the entire path of a swimming turtle simply by the light trailing behind it. The effect comes from the same basic chemical reaction a firefly uses on land, borrowed here by the sea. Dip your hand into water like that and lift it back out, and the droplets will shimmer briefly in your palm before fading, almost as if the ocean itself were trying, gently, to hold on to the memory of you a little while longer. Some lakes carry their own quiet, shifting beauty, changing color with the turning of the seasons. In Canada, a body of water known as Spotted Lake turns shades of yellow, green, and blue through the summer as its mineral-rich pools slowly evaporate. In Australia, Lake Hillier holds a bubblegum pink color all year round, the result of unique microorganisms living in its water. Elsewhere, ordinary lakes shift gradually from deep blue in summer to vivid green in spring as their algae populations quietly rise and fall with the temperature. Standing on the shore of a lake like that, it can feel as though the water has simply been dyed overnight by some unseen hand. In truth, it's only ever the ordinary, patient chemistry of nature, painting the surface in whatever season-appropriate tone it happens to be wearing that year. Other lakes hold on to an entirely different kind of secret, extraordinary clarity. Blue Lake in New Zealand is considered among the clearest bodies of fresh water anywhere on the planet, with visibility stretching down as far as 260 feet. That astonishing clarity comes from water that has been slowly filtered through layers of rock and sand, stripped of nearly every trace of sediment along the way. Looking into water like that feels close to peering through glass into another world entirely. Schools of fish appear to float in open air, and the colors of the lake bed show through with a sharpness that barely seems real. Waters this pristine are rare and fragile enough to be clouded by even the smallest disturbance, which makes their stillness feel, somehow, even more precious. And then there's the ocean's opposite kind of drama, waves that appear without any storm at all to warn of their arrival. Most waves are born from ordinary wind, but so-called rogue waves can rise suddenly out of an otherwise calm sea, towering over everything around them. They form when several smaller waves happen to align perfectly, merging their energy into a single, massive wall of water that can stand twice as tall as anything nearby. Once dismissed as little more than sailor's legend, rogue waves have since been confirmed by satellites and ocean sensors, some recorded rising more than 100 feet high. They're rare, but genuinely dangerous, capable of damaging even large ships in a matter of moments. Out in the open ocean, they can appear and vanish again almost as quickly as they arrived, proof that even a calm, glassy sea can hold enormous surprises just beneath its surface. Sometimes, water finds its way to places you would never expect at all. In a small town in Honduras, residents have a name for a rare but genuinely observed weather event: Lluvia de Peces, the rain of fish. Several times a year, usually right after an intense thunderstorm, small fish turn up flopping in the streets and open fields. Scientists believe powerful winds, or waterspouts forming over nearby rivers or the sea, can lift fish directly out of the water and carry them inland before finally dropping them along with the rain. Similar reports have appeared elsewhere in the world too, sometimes involving frogs, crabs, or even jellyfish. To witness something like that firsthand must feel almost impossible to believe. Hearing an ordinary rain begin to fall, and then noticing it glittering, faintly, with the movement of small living things tumbling gently out of the sky. Let's rest here a moment. Let your breathing slow the way that Honduran rain eventually slows, gently tapering off into stillness, the streets glistening quietly afterward as though nothing unusual had happened at all. Let's drift now toward the driest places on the planet, because deserts, it turns out, keep some of nature's strangest and most patient secrets of all. It's easy to assume a desert means endless heat, but a desert is technically defined by dryness alone, not temperature. By that definition, the largest deserts on Earth are actually Antarctica and the Arctic, frozen landscapes where precipitation is so rare they easily qualify. Antarctica in particular stands as the coldest, driest, and windiest place on the entire planet, with temperatures capable of plunging past 90 degrees below freezing. And yet, even there, life persists. Microbial organisms survive in hidden pockets of liquid water beneath the ice, and hardy lichens cling quietly to exposed rock. These polar deserts carry their own stark, striking beauty: blinding white snow beneath endless summer daylight, the eerie blue glow of hidden ice caves, and a frozen stillness capable of lasting for centuries without any visible change at all. Desert, it turns out, doesn't always mean sand and heat. Sometimes it simply means ice and silence. Even the hottest, sandiest deserts carry old, hidden memories most people would never guess. Thousands of years ago, the Sahara wasn't an endless expanse of dunes at all. It was a lush savanna, dotted with lakes, rivers, and open grassland. Evidence buried in ancient lake beds, preserved rock art, and fossilized pollen shows that hippos, crocodiles, and early human settlements once thrived across the same ground that today holds nothing but sand for hundreds of miles. This green Sahara existed because a slow shift in Earth's own tilt and orbit once pushed monsoon rains much farther north than they reach today. Over thousands of years, those same patterns gradually reversed, and the land dried, slowly, into the desert we recognize now. It stands as a vivid reminder of just how dramatically climate can reshape an entire landscape, and an entire chapter of human history along with it. Beneath the sand today, quiet traces of that lush, ancient past still remain, buried and waiting. Even now, that same harsh landscape can transform almost overnight, given the smallest opportunity. Desert soils often hide seeds that have lain dormant for years, patiently waiting for exactly the right moment. After a rare, soaking rain, these seeds can germinate almost immediately, and within days, barren ground can transform into a sprawling carpet of yellow, purple, and red as thousands of plants bloom all at once. The spectacle rarely lasts long before the returning heat dries the flowers and scatters seeds for the next cycle, sometimes decades away. In places like Chile's Atacama Desert, these so-called superblooms are large enough to be seen clearly from space. A brief, brilliant explosion of color and life against one of the harshest, driest landscapes anywhere on Earth. Beneath some deserts, hidden entirely from view, lie vast underground reservoirs of water called aquifers. In places like the Sahara, these hidden lakes can stretch for hundreds of miles, holding ancient water that fell as rain thousands of years ago and has simply been waiting underground ever since. Occasionally, that water reaches the surface through natural springs or oases, creating small, unlikely pockets of green in an otherwise lifeless expanse. In other cases, it remains trapped far below, revealed only through careful, deliberate drilling. These underground lakes have become genuine lifelines for people, animals, and plants alike, proof that even in the harshest landscapes on the planet, the quiet potential for life-giving water can still be patiently stored away, waiting for its own moment to return. Not every desert is golden, either. In southern New Mexico lies a vast expanse of brilliant white dunes known as white sands, made not of ordinary sand, but of gypsum crystals, a mineral rare in large dune fields specifically because it dissolves so easily in water. In this particular desert basin, though, there's simply nowhere for water to drain away. So when the ancient lakes that once covered the region evaporated, they left behind thick layers of gypsum, which wind has since sculpted, over thousands of years, into rippling white dunes that sparkle in daylight and glow a pale, quiet blue under moonlight. Walking through it feels almost like stepping into snow, except the air stays warm, and the ground crunches softly rather than crackling underfoot. The whiteness is bright enough to be visible from space, a gleaming desert unlike almost anywhere else on the planet. And in certain deserts, the wind itself seems to give the landscape a voice. Steady winds passing over large dunes or boulders can set the sand vibrating, producing deep, resonant tones capable of carrying for miles, sometimes lingering for minutes after the initial gust has passed. This effect, known as singing sand or booming dunes, happens when grains of just the right size and dryness slide together in enormous numbers, creating a genuine, low-frequency hum. Marco Polo himself once described hearing exactly this in the Gobi Desert, centuries ago. The sound is strange enough to feel almost physical, a slow, rumbling note that seems to rise directly from the earth itself, as though the landscape were quietly breathing a long, low song into the open air. Some parts of the Earth's crust have taken on an even stranger, more permanent kind of memory. Millions of years ago, in certain regions, ancient seas evaporated entirely, leaving behind massive deposits of pure salt. Over time, tectonic forces slowly pushed these deposits upward into actual mountains. Iran's Namak Mountain stands as a striking example, its slopes gleaming white and streaked with color from trace minerals. In Bolivia, the world's largest salt flat, Sala de Uyuni, hides raised ridges of pure salt along its own edges as well. These strange salt mountains continue eroding slowly under wind and rain, occasionally revealing crystalline structures, and sometimes even hollow caves hidden within. Their very existence is a quiet reminder that some of today's highest, driest places were once, unimaginably long ago, nothing but open ocean floor. And out in one particular dry lake bed in California's Death Valley, something even stranger has puzzled observers for decades. Large rocks appear to slide slowly across the flat, cracked ground entirely on their own, leaving long, curving tracks behind them in the dried mud. For years, nobody had ever actually witnessed the movement happening, only the evidence left behind afterward. Eventually, researchers discovered the answer. In rare winter conditions, a thin sheet of ice forms beneath the rocks overnight. As that ice begins to warm and break apart the following day, light winds are enough to push the loosened stones slowly across the slick, nearly frictionless surface beneath them. The movement is so gradual that a single rock might take hours simply to travel a few meters. What's left behind looks almost like proof of some strange, silent, nighttime migration, a landscape quietly marked by stones that, in their own patient, physics-driven way, really did seem to walk. Let's pause here for the tagline that's become a little ritual of its own on this channel. Because if any of this is helping your mind unwind tonight, and you'd like more of these slow drifts through the strange and the vast, you're welcome to stay a while longer or come back another night. One quiet mind at a time. That's really all this is for. Now, back into the dark and up, for a while, into the sky itself. At this very moment, somewhere on the planet, lightning is almost certainly flashing. Scientists estimate roughly 8 million lightning strikes occur worldwide every single day, more than 90 every second. These bolts form when electrical charges build up inside storm clouds, or between a cloud and the ground below it, and the air surrounding a single strike heats to more than 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit in an instant, hotter than the surface of the sun itself. That sudden, extreme heat causes the surrounding air to expand explosively, which is what produces the sound of thunder a moment later. Lightning doesn't just light up the sky, either. It plays a real role in the planet's chemistry, helping form nitrogen compounds that plants rely on to grow. In the tropics, where storms are especially frequent, the night horizon often flickers quietly with distant flashes, a soft, constant reminder that the atmosphere overhead is never truly still. Some storms carry on for far longer than anything Earth ever produces. On Jupiter, a massive storm called the Great Red Spot, larger than our entire planet, has been raging continuously for at least 300 years, and quite possibly much longer than that. While storms here typically last days or weeks at most, Jupiter's storm operates on an entirely different scale, fed by the planet's endlessly turbulent atmosphere and its total lack of any solid surface to slow it down. From space, it appears as a swirling, deep red oval, an enduring scar stretched across the gas giant's banded clouds. Studying it has helped scientists understand not only Jupiter itself, but how atmospheric systems in general might behave on other worlds entirely. Clouds themselves carry far more weight, quite literally, than they ever appear to. A single large thundercloud can hold millions of tons of water, easily outweighing an entire mountain. The reason it doesn't simply fall out of the sky all at once is that the water inside it is suspended in countless tiny droplets or ice crystals, spread out across a vast area and held aloft by rising currents of warm air. When conditions eventually shift, some of that suspended water condenses and finally falls as rain, hail, or snow. These enormous clouds can stretch for miles and tower deep into the atmosphere, their tops glowing bright white in sunlight, while their undersides churn with deep shadow. Watching one drift across the horizon, it's genuinely hard to believe something so massive could still look, from a distance, as light and airy as a handful of feathers. High above the ordinary clouds we're used to, more than 50 miles up in the atmosphere, an entirely different kind of cloud sometimes appears after sunset, shimmering with a delicate silvery blue light. These are noctilucent clouds, formed when ice crystals gather on fine dust particles in the upper mesosphere. They aren't lit by the sun directly overhead. They're illuminated instead by sunlight still shining from beyond the horizon, glowing quietly against the deepening twilight sky. Most visible at high latitudes during summer, they can look almost unreal, like ghostly, rippling veils suspended in the upper atmosphere. Some scientists believe they may be appearing more frequently, as shifting atmospheric conditions provide more moisture at extreme altitudes. Watching them drift overhead feels, in its own strange way, like witnessing the sky itself quietly breathing in silver. Certain volcanic eruptions produce something even rarer and stranger than an ordinary storm: vivid blue lightning. This phenomenon, sometimes called volcanic lightning, occurs when ash particles inside an eruption cloud collide with one another, building up powerful electrical charges. The distinctive blue color comes from the ionization of volcanic gases like sulfur dioxide, caught in the middle of all that violent motion. These rare storms are both beautiful and genuinely dangerous, their eerie glow illuminating the churning ash plumes rising from below. Seen against a darkened sky, blue lightning can look almost unnatural, as if the volcano itself were quietly summoning fire from somewhere entirely outside the ordinary world. And sometimes, the sky bends its own usual rules in gentler, quieter ways. From the ground, a rainbow always appears as an arc, its lower half hidden below the horizon. But seen from above, from an airplane window or a high mountain ridge, a rainbow can sometimes appear as a complete, perfect circle. That's because a rainbow is really always a full ring of light, created as sunlight refracts and reflects inside countless individual raindrops. On the ground, the horizon simply cuts the lower half of that circle away from view. From high enough in the air, with nothing blocking the rest of it, the entire ring becomes visible at once. Pilots sometimes see this phenomenon, called a glory, surrounding the shadow of their own aircraft as it moves across the clouds below. It's a gentle, vivid reminder that the beauty we usually notice is often only a fraction of the whole picture, and that a small shift in perspective can reveal a world that's been quietly there, the whole time, just out of sight. Even wind can occasionally seem to rewrite gravity's usual rules, at least for a little while. Along certain coastal cliffs, powerful ocean winds can catch the falling water of a tall waterfall and push it directly back upward, creating the strange, almost surreal sight of water appearing to flow the wrong way entirely. The wind's force can be strong enough that the waterfall genuinely seems to reverse itself, its spray streaming upward into the sky rather than down into the pool below. In reality, the water isn't returning to its source at all. It's simply being broken apart into fine mist and carried off by the wind. The effect never lasts long, fading the moment the gusts settle. But for as long as it holds, It can make an entirely familiar landscape feel completely transformed, as though the ordinary rules of nature had briefly, quietly, agreed to bend. Let's rest here again for a moment. Let your breathing slow the way wind eventually settles after a strong gust, rising, holding, and then gently, naturally, falling away again. Let's turn now towards some of the most extreme survival stories life on this planet has ever produced, because winter, heat, and even complete darkness have never been enough to stop it entirely. In the far north, certain creatures have learned to pause their lives in the most extreme way imaginable, by freezing solid. The wood frog of Alaska can let up to 2/3 of its body water turn to ice during the winter months. Its heart stops beating entirely. Its blood stops flowing. And yet, it isn't dead. Special compounds inside its body, including natural forms of glucose and urea, act as a kind of internal antifreeze, keeping its individual cells from bursting even as ice fills the spaces between them. When spring finally returns and temperatures climb again, the frog simply thaws. Its heart restarts on its own, and it hops away as though nothing unusual had happened at all. Certain insects, fish, and even microscopic tardigrades use remarkably similar strategies. It sounds, on paper, like something that should be impossible, and yet nature has quietly refined this exact trick over millions of years, allowing life to persist even in places where winter behaves more like a months-long, deep freeze. Those same microscopic tardigrades, often called water bears, may be the single toughest creatures on the entire planet. They can enter a dormant state called cryptobiosis, drying themselves out almost completely and slowing their metabolism nearly to zero, allowing them to survive conditions that would end almost any other form of life. Extreme cold, extreme heat, crushing pressure, high radiation, and even the total vacuum of outer space itself. In this suspended state, they can remain, quietly, essentially paused, for years at a time, simply waiting for water and warmth to return before resuming their tiny, ordinary lives exactly where they left off. Elsewhere, life has found ways to thrive in conditions that sound almost impossible to survive, even briefly. Around deep-sea hydrothermal vents, water temperatures can climb past the boiling point, hot enough to destroy most living tissue instantly. And yet certain microorganisms called hyperthermophiles flourish there anyway, having evolved proteins and cell structures stable enough to withstand that extreme heat without falling apart. Some live in the scalding runoff of geysers on land, in places like Yellowstone National Park. These heat-loving microbes form the base of entire hidden food webs, quietly supporting tube worms, clams, and crabs clustered tightly around the vent openings. Studying them has revealed enzymes that can withstand temperatures once thought completely incompatible with life altogether, quietly expanding our understanding of just how flexible biology's outer limits might really be. Some creatures manage an even stranger trick, surviving without oxygen at all, sometimes for months at a time. The painted turtle can hibernate underwater beneath frozen lake ice for more than 4 months, surviving without oxygen by slowing its metabolism drastically and switching entirely to a different, oxygen-free method of producing energy. Certain worms and small crustaceans living in deep, oxygen-poor sediment have adapted to extract energy in ways that bypass the need for oxygen altogether. And scientists have even discovered tiny jellyfish-like creatures with no mitochondria whatsoever, meaning they never use oxygen at any point in their biology. For these particular animals, oxygen isn't simply optional. It's entirely irrelevant, proof that survival, in nature, can sometimes take forms far stranger than anything we might have imagined possible in advance. Some animals have chosen a slower, quieter route toward the exact same goal, enduring impossibly long stretches without food. A cave-dwelling salamander found in parts of Europe, sometimes called the olm, can go without eating for up to 10 years, drastically slowing its own metabolism to make that possible. Certain crocodiles and snakes can survive well over a year without a meal, living entirely off stored body fat. Even tiny tardigrades, once again, can simply halt nearly all biological activity until conditions finally improve. These aren't just impressive feats of endurance. They're a genuine survival strategy, allowing creatures to persist in habitats where food arrives only in rare, unpredictable bursts, proving that patience in the natural world can matter every bit as much as speed. And it isn't only animals capable of this kind of extraordinary resilience. In experiments aboard the International Space Station, certain mosses and other simple plants were exposed directly to the vacuum, radiation, and extreme temperature swings of open space, and still managed to revive once returned to normal conditions here on Earth. Their resilience comes from specialized proteins and cellular structures that protect against both dehydration and genetic damage. That same quiet toughness makes them valuable subjects for scientists studying how life might endure elsewhere in the universe. There's something worth resting on in that thought tonight, that a small, unassuming carpet of green moss can survive conditions that would destroy nearly everything else. A quiet, patient reminder of just how far life's own tenacity can actually reach. Some creatures manage the rarest trick of all, thriving in conditions that swing wildly between two opposite extremes. Certain extremophile microbes near deep-sea hydrothermal vents can endure temperatures well past boiling and still tolerate near-freezing water in the quieter periods between eruptions. The Antarctic ice fish survives in sub-zero seas thanks to natural antifreeze proteins carried directly in its blood. And tardigrades, once again, manage to survive both boiling heat and complete freezing, entering that same protective, dried-out state either way. These particular creatures prove, more clearly than almost anything else tonight, that life's actual boundaries are far more flexible than most of us tend to imagine, thriving comfortably in places where two opposite extremes somehow manage to coexist side by side, without canceling each other out. Let's turn now, for a while, toward the senses and instincts carried quietly inside so many living things, abilities that make the ordinary, everyday world feel a little larger than it usually does. Invisible to us entirely, Earth's own magnetic field wraps gently around the whole planet, and countless animals seem able to feel it directly. Sea turtles use it to navigate across entire oceans and eventually return to the exact same beach where they first hatched, sometimes decades earlier. Migratory birds use it to travel thousands of miles between their breeding and wintering grounds, subtly adjusting their routes as the planet's own magnetic lines shift slightly over time. Even certain bacteria are known to align themselves with magnetic fields simply to find more favorable environments to live in. Scientists believe this hidden sense may come from microscopic magnetic particles inside these creatures' bodies, or from specialized proteins in their eyes that respond directly to magnetism itself. Whatever the exact mechanism turns out to be, it's a quiet reminder that many animals experience entire layers of the world we simply can't perceive at all, sensing invisible forces that shape every long journey they ever take. Some birds carry an equally remarkable sense, but tuned instead to the night sky itself. Migratory birds like the indigo bunting use the position of constellations circling the North Star to orient themselves during nighttime travel. Remarkably, even young birds raised in captivity with no prior migration experience whatsoever, seem to instinctively recognize these same celestial cues. In the southern hemisphere, different stars serve the same essential purpose. Many birds combine this starlit map with their sense of Earth's magnetic field and the position of the sun, weaving all three into one single, layered navigation system. Experiments conducted inside planetariums have shown that deliberately altering the visible star patterns can genuinely confuse migrating birds, confirming that the night sky itself quietly serves as one of their most trusted guides, a skill written into instinct long before humans ever developed any navigation of our own. Vision itself, it turns out, varies far more across species than most of us ever consider. While human eyes detect only 3 primary colors, red, green, and blue, some butterflies carry far more complex eyes, with additional receptors tuned specifically to ultraviolet light. This lets them see patterns on flowers, and even on each other, that remain completely invisible to us. On flowers, these hidden ultraviolet markings function almost like landing guides, pointing pollinators directly toward the nectar inside, the way runway lights might guide a plane safely down at night. On other butterflies, similar markings can signal health, readiness to mate, or a clear warning to stay away entirely. To imagine what a butterfly actually sees is to imagine an entire spectrum layered quietly over our own. Colors we simply don't have names for, patterns that flicker in and out of existence as the light shifts, a hidden dimension of the world sitting directly on top of the one we already know. Some animals carry a flexibility that goes well beyond simple perception, extending all the way into their own biology. In certain fish species, like clownfish and wrasses, sex isn't fixed for life at all. If the dominant female within a group dies, the largest male may transform into a female to take her place, ensuring the group's continued survival. Other species switch in the opposite direction instead, moving from female to male whenever the group's hierarchy calls for it. These aren't temporary behavioral shifts, either. The animal's body undergoes profound biological change, shifting hormone levels, remodeling reproductive organs, and sometimes even altering coloration and body size in the process. To us, it might look extraordinary. Within these particular ecosystems, it's simply a practical, deeply effective strategy, honed carefully over millions of years, ensuring that life keeps moving forward no matter how individual circumstances happen to shift. Certain animals never really stop growing at all. While most creatures reach a fixed adult size and stay there, some species keep growing steadily throughout their entire lives, a trait scientists call indeterminate growth. Many fish, reptiles, and amphibians grow a little larger every year, provided they have enough food and manage to avoid injury or disease along the way. Giant catfish in parts of Southeast Asia can grow past 6 feet in length this way, while certain saltwater crocodiles continue growing for decades, eventually becoming massive apex predators simply through sheer, patient, accumulated time. This slow, steady pattern means the largest individuals of these species tend also to be the very oldest, carrying decades of accumulated survival knowledge with them, where to find food, when exactly to avoid danger, their sheer presence quietly shaping the entire ecosystem around them. Some animals appear to carry a genuine, recognizable sense of self. Self-recognition was once assumed to be a uniquely human trait, but several species can reliably pass what's known as the mirror test. When shown a mirror, great apes, dolphins, elephants, and even certain birds like magpies will use their own reflection to inspect parts of their bodies they otherwise can't see directly. In careful experiments, animals marked with a small, harmless, unfamiliar spot somewhere on their own body will often use the mirror specifically to investigate or attempt to remove that mark, a strong hint of real self-awareness, an underlying sense of "this is me." Not every species passes this particular test, but the ones that do offer a small, genuine glimpse into a kind of consciousness we're still only beginning to properly understand. Tool use, too, was once believed to belong to humans alone, and animals have quietly proven that assumption wrong again and again. Chimpanzees strip leaves from ordinary twigs to fashion simple tools for fishing termites directly out of their mouths. Sea otters use flat stones to crack open shellfish balanced carefully on their own chests while floating on their backs. Crows have been observed deliberately dropping tough nuts onto busy roads, allowing passing cars to crack the shells, then waiting patiently for a safe moment to retrieve the food inside. Even dolphins have been seen carrying protective marine sponges over their snouts while foraging along sharp coral, shielding themselves from injury. These behaviors often require genuine learning, creativity, and in some cases, direct teaching passed down between generations. Tool use blurs the old, comfortable line between simple instinct and real problem solving, quietly revealing that intelligence, across the animal kingdom, takes far more shapes than we ever originally assumed. Some birds have built an entirely unexpected reputation as gifted mimics. The lyrebird of Australia can imitate chainsaws, camera shutters, other bird calls, and even human voices, with an accuracy that borders on uncanny. Mockingbirds across North America weave dozens of different sounds into their own songs, borrowing freely from frogs, crickets, and even car alarms. These abilities serve a range of purposes, attracting mates, defending territory, or, in some cases, simply showing off. Young birds typically learn their own repertoire by listening closely to the world immediately around them, and the very best mimics can pass particularly memorable sounds down through several generations. To hear a bird deep in an ordinary forest suddenly perfectly mimic the exact bark of a dog somewhere nearby is both startling and strangely delightful. A quiet reminder that nature's many voices are not always exactly what they first seem to be. Let's rest here again for a moment. Let your own breathing settle the way a forest settles after a bird finally stops singing for the night. Quiet, unhurried, content simply to listen for a while instead. Let's drift now, gently, into the ocean itself, because the deep sea may be the strangest, least explored landscape on the entire planet. Far beneath the waves, sunlight fades quickly, and in the true darkness beyond it, many creatures have learned to produce their own light entirely. Some fish use bioluminescence not only to lure prey or hide from predators, but genuinely to communicate with one another. The flashlight fish carries light-producing organs directly beneath its eyes, which it can blink on and off by covering them with small flaps of skin. Lanternfish carry glowing patterns along their bodies that may help them recognize one another in total darkness. Some species flash in careful, rhythmic pulses, almost like a private code written entirely in light. Watching a display like that would feel mesmerizing, a slow, drifting ballet of glowing shapes suspended in complete blackness, as though the ocean floor had quietly grown its own constellations. In a world without any sunlight at all, light itself becomes a kind of language, written entirely in flickers and glows, telling stories we've only just begun to understand even a small part of. Some of that same glow reaches all the way up into the forests on land, in an equally strange form. Certain fungi produce a gentle, eerie light of their own, the result of a chemical reaction involving a compound called luciferin, the very same compound found inside fireflies. Scientists believe this glow may attract insects that help spread the fungus's spores, or it may deter animals that would otherwise be tempted to eat it. The brightest examples can illuminate an entire patch of forest floor with a soft, ghostly green light on a dark night. For centuries, travelers told stories of glowing logs scattered through certain woods, never realizing they were simply looking at quiet, living fungi hard at work. Walking through a forest like that must feel completely otherworldly, as though the ground itself had been lightly sprinkled with fallen stars, shining softly until dawn finally arrives. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean lies the Mariana Trench, home to the Challenger Deep, the single deepest known point in Earth's oceans. At nearly 7 miles down, it's deeper than Mount Everest is tall, measured from sea level. The pressure there is more than 1,000 times greater than at the surface, easily enough to crush most ordinary submarines. The darkness is total, and the temperature hovers just barely above freezing. And yet, even there, life persists. Tiny arthropods, strange, pale snailfish, and resilient microbes, all surviving on organic material that slowly drifts down from the ocean far above them. Very few people have ever visited the Challenger Deep in person, but unmanned probes have mapped its alien landscape of slopes, trenches, and fine sediment. It's a quiet reminder that some of Earth's most extreme, least explored frontiers aren't out in space at all, but hidden in the silent, crushing depths of our own planet's oceans. Not every dark, hidden corner of the world belongs to the sea, either. In the deepest caves and trenches, some animals are born into a world without any light at all, and never leave it for their entire lives. These species often lose their eyes entirely over generations, relying instead on heightened senses of touch, smell, or vibration. The Mexican blind cavefish has skin capable of detecting subtle changes in water movement, allowing it to navigate and locate food in total darkness. Deep-sea creatures like the tripod fish use unusually long fins to feel their way carefully along the seafloor, sensing their surroundings without ever needing to see them directly. In these completely lightless environments, ordinary vision would simply be wasted energy, so evolution has quietly redirected that energy elsewhere instead. Life in permanent darkness might seem unimaginably limiting from our own perspective. To these particular animals, it's simply completely normal, a full, thriving existence carried on entirely beyond the reach of the sun. Off the coasts of many continents, another kind of hidden forest sways gently beneath the surface. Vast underwater kelp forests can grow more than 2 feet a day, eventually reaching heights beyond 100 feet, creating an entire submerged canopy that shelters fish, sea otters, and countless other species. These underwater forests act as vital nurseries for marine life and help protect nearby shorelines by softening the force of incoming waves. Sunlight streaming down through the kelp gives the surrounding water a soft emerald glow, and the slow, constant motion of the fronds can feel almost hypnotic to any diver passing through. Much like an ordinary forest on land, it forms an entire complex ecosystem. Only here, the trees themselves are made of flexible, leaf-like blades, anchored firmly to the ocean floor far below. Beneath the sea's surface, differences in temperature, salinity, and density can create currents that behave exactly like rivers along the ocean floor. And in certain places, these hidden currents actually plunge over ledges, forming genuine underwater waterfalls. The largest known example lies in the Denmark Strait, between Greenland and Iceland, where dense, cold Arctic water flows beneath warmer Atlantic water and drops more than 11,000 feet, nearly 3 times the height of Angel Falls, the tallest waterfall on land. These hidden flows quietly shape ocean circulation, transport nutrients across vast distances, and influence climate patterns across the entire globe. They are, in every meaningful sense, real rivers and real waterfalls, and yet ones we could never actually witness without diving deep into total darkness first. Whales, somewhere out in that same vast darkness, carry on conversations of their own that stretch across entire oceans. Humpback whales are famous for their long, haunting songs, complex sequences of sound that can last for hours at a time. These songs travel for hundreds, sometimes thousands of miles through the deep ocean, carried efficiently by water itself. Males tend to sing most often during breeding season, and the songs themselves can slowly change over time, spreading through entire whale populations almost like an evolving folk tune passed carefully from voice to voice. Researchers believe these songs may serve to attract mates, establish territory, or simply communicate across truly enormous distances. Listening to a whale song recorded far out at sea feels almost like hearing a voice from another world entirely, slow, powerful, and resonant with the sheer vastness of the ocean it travels through. Let's turn, finally, toward the solid ground itself, because even rock and ice carry their own patient, hidden kind of motion. In northern Mexico lies a hidden chamber known as the Cave of the Crystals, discovered only in the year 2000, buried beneath a working mine. Inside are some of the largest natural crystals ever found anywhere on Earth, towering selenite columns stretching nearly 50 feet long, gleaming faintly even in the cave's dim light. The extreme heat and humidity inside make it genuinely dangerous to enter without proper protection, but those who have described it as stepping directly into a dream, the walls themselves seeming to shimmer softly with their own inner light. These crystals grew slowly over hundreds of thousands of years, submerged in mineral-rich water held at a remarkably constant temperature the entire time. One more quiet reminder of just how patient the slow artistry of geology can truly be. Glaciers, despite appearing completely frozen in place, are actually in constant, gradual motion. Gravity pulls them steadily downhill, and over months and years, the ice itself flows almost like an incredibly slow-moving river. Typical movement might amount to only a few centimeters a day, though in rare surges, a glacier can shift several meters at once. As they move, glaciers grind solid rock into fine powder, carve out entire valleys, and reshape the landscape around them. And when they eventually retreat, they leave behind lakes, ridges, and unexpectedly fertile soil. Watching a glacier move in real time is nearly impossible without specialized equipment, but satellite images and careful time-lapse photography reveal their steady, relentless motion clearly enough. A quiet reminder that even the most solid, permanent-seeming things on Earth are never actually fully at rest. Mountains themselves are far less finished than they appear to be, too. Where continental plates collide, the crust is slowly pushed upward, creating entire mountain ranges that continue growing, millimeter by patient millimeter, every single year. The Himalayas, home to Mount Everest, are still rising even now, as the Indian plate continues pressing steadily into the Eurasian plate beneath it. Even though ordinary erosion wears mountains down over time, in places like this, the upward force still outpaces the wearing away. In geological terms, it's actually a remarkably fast process, though far too slow for any of us to notice from one day to the next. Scientists can measure this growth with precise satellite data, quietly watching certain peaks inch higher over the course of decades. A reminder that even landscapes we tend to think of as ancient and permanently fixed are, in fact, still very much in motion, shaped by exactly the same planetary forces that first built them and never really stopped. Some rock formations have proven old enough to make even a mountain range look relatively young by comparison. Scattered across parts of Western Australia are tiny mineral grains called zircons, some dating back more than 4 billion years, older than the very oldest known continental crust anywhere on Earth. These small crystals, often no larger than a single grain of sand, formed when the planet itself was still young, not long after its surface had cooled enough to allow liquid water to exist for the very first time. Having survived billions of years of erosion, burial, and geological recycling, these tiny zircons still carry chemical clues about Earth's earliest conditions locked quietly inside them. Holding one, in a very real sense, is a little like holding an actual fragment of the planet's own childhood in the palm of your hand. When an undersea volcano erupts, molten rock can gradually build up until it finally rises above the water's surface, forming genuinely new land where none existed before. These volcanic islands often begin as nothing more than barren, steaming rock, but over time, winds and ocean currents carry in seeds, birds, and drifting marine life, slowly starting the long process of colonization. Some of these new islands eventually vanish again, worn away by the same waves that once helped shape them. Others grow into lasting, permanent homes for plants, animals, and eventually people. In 1963, a volcanic eruption off the coast of Iceland created an entirely new island, which quickly became a living laboratory for scientists studying exactly how an ecosystem manages to begin again, essentially from nothing. To watch an entire island appear where there was once only open ocean is to witness the Earth quietly reshaping itself in something close to real time. And in certain parts of Romania, unusual rock formations called trovants seem, remarkably, to grow larger over the years. After periods of heavy rain, these stones can appear to sprout entirely new layers, caused by mineral-rich water slowly seeping through their naturally porous structure and depositing fresh material as it passes through. The growth itself is incredibly slow, typically just a few millimeters each year, but left undisturbed for centuries. These unusual stones can eventually grow large enough to split apart or develop strange, bulbous new shapes, almost as if the landscape itself had quietly decided to remain a little more restless and a little more alive than ordinary rock usually gets to be. Some living things have found an entirely different way to outlast the ages, not by growing or changing at all, but by staying almost exactly the same. Horseshoe crabs have walked along Earth's shorelines for more than 400 million years, quietly surviving multiple mass extinction events along the way. The coelacanth, a deep-sea fish once believed to have gone extinct alongside the dinosaurs, still swims today in very nearly the same form it held more than 300 million years ago. These so-called living fossils offer a gentle reminder that evolution doesn't always mean constant change. Sometimes, it simply means finding a design so effective, so perfectly suited to its purpose, that it manages to endure almost entirely unchanged across truly unimaginable spans of geological time. Even now, in an age of satellites and global travel, certain places on this planet have never once been touched by a single human footstep. Some are remote mountain peaks, hidden cave systems, or deep ocean trenches. Others are isolated islands, or stretches of rainforest so dense they remain genuinely inaccessible even today. These untouched places function as quiet, living time capsules, holding ecosystems that have remained undisturbed for thousands of years. They stand as a gentle reminder that despite everything we've built and everywhere we've managed to travel, much of this Earth still belongs, entirely and completely, only to itself. Beneath Antarctica's massive ice sheets, hidden rivers and lakes flow in total darkness, kept liquid by geothermal heat rising from deep below, combined with the immense pressure of the ice pressing down from above. Some of these subglacial rivers connect much larger lakes, forming entire hidden drainage systems no human eye has ever directly seen. Scientists study them carefully, drilling through the ice itself, and have discovered microbial life that has remained completely isolated from the rest of the world for millions of years. These secret, hidden rivers prove that even in one of the coldest, driest places on the entire planet, water never really stops moving, and life, in whatever quiet form it can manage, continues finding a way to persist. Let's rest for a while longer on a handful of smaller, equally strange wonders before we finally begin to settle in for the night. Some creatures can reproduce entirely without a mate, creating exact genetic copies of themselves through a process called asexual reproduction. This is common among simple organisms, but it shows up in more complex animals too. Starfish can regenerate lost arms, and in some cases, if the central body remains intact, an entirely new starfish can grow from just a single severed limb. Certain freshwater hydras simply bud off small, miniature versions of themselves, while some insects can lay eggs that develop into clones without ever being fertilized at all. In stable environments, this kind of cloning lets a species multiply quickly without needing to find a mate at all. The trade-off is less genetic diversity, which can leave a population more vulnerable to sudden change. But in the right circumstances, it remains a remarkably efficient way for life to simply keep going. Certain flowers change color as they age, sending an entirely different kind of signal to the pollinators who visit them. One tropical plant opens with yellow blossoms that later shift to orange and eventually deep red as the flower matures. Pollinators like butterflies and bees quickly learn that the younger, yellow flowers hold more nectar, while the older, redder ones offer far less reward, and adjust their visits accordingly. This shifting color helps ensure that pollinators spend their time on the flowers most likely to actually be fertile, improving the plant's own chances of successful reproduction. In some alpine species, flowers change color specifically after they've already been pollinated, essentially telling visiting insects not to bother wasting their time there anymore. A quiet, entirely visual conversation carried on silently between plant and pollinator. Some birds manage to sleep without ever coming down to land at all. Frigate birds can spend days, sometimes even weeks, entirely airborne, and researchers have discovered they rest by shutting down one half of their brain at a time, a state called unihemispheric slow-wave sleep. This lets them keep gliding on rising air currents while still getting some genuine rest, staying alert enough the whole time to navigate safely and avoid danger. Even while fully asleep on one side, they can continue circling gently on thermal currents, barely needing to move their wings at all. It's an adaptation that lets them cover truly enormous distances without ever pausing, turning the open sky itself into something very close to a bed. Certain spiders have found their own unlikely way to travel great distances, using nothing but their own silk. In a behavior called ballooning, they release fine strands into the air, which catch passing wind and lift the spider gently off the ground. Most of these journeys are short, but some spiders have been found hundreds of miles out at sea, their silk acting almost like a tiny sail catching the ocean breeze. Scientists believe they can survive these long journeys by resting on floating debris and catching whatever airborne insects happen to cross their path. This ability lets spiders colonize entirely new islands and remote coastlines, often arriving as some of the very first inhabitants after a volcanic eruption or other major disturbance. Watching one lift gently into the air, carried by nothing but a single thread, feels like watching an improbable, entirely unplanned voyage quietly begin. Some of the smallest travelers on the planet also happen to be some of the most impressive migrants of all. Every year, tiny globe skimmer dragonflies complete a migration of more than 11,000 miles, traveling from India across the Indian Ocean to Africa and back again, a journey completed across multiple overlapping generations that may be the longest migration of any insect on Earth. Monarch butterflies make their own extraordinary journey too, flying thousands of miles from Canada and the United States down to their wintering grounds in central Mexico. These migrations are guided by a mix of environmental cues, temperature, day length, and even, once again, Earth's own magnetic field. For creatures this small, the sheer endurance and precise navigation required is remarkable, proof that size was never really the limit on ambition in the natural world. In certain landscapes where limestone bedrock is riddled with cracks and hidden caves, rivers can vanish entirely underground, flowing unseen through subterranean passages before finally reappearing miles downstream. The Puerto Princesa underground river in the Philippines travels for more than 5 miles beneath the surface before finally spilling out into the sea. In some places, explorers can follow these hidden waterways through enormous underground chambers, their ceilings glittering faintly with mineral formations overhead. These disappearing rivers shape the landscape as much from below as any ordinary river shapes it from above, carving tunnels, feeding hidden springs, and creating entirely unique ecosystems both in the permanent dark and at the exact point where they finally re-emerge into daylight. Let's rest for a moment on a few more of nature's quicker, more surprising tricks before we drift on toward the ground itself. Most plants move too slowly for us to ever notice, growing and bending gradually over days or weeks at a time. A small handful, though, move with genuinely surprising speed. The Venus flytrap can snap its leaves shut in less than a second whenever tiny trigger hairs inside the trap are touched twice in quick succession. Certain sundews curl their sticky leaves inward around trapped prey, while the bladderwort, an aquatic plant, can trigger an entire underwater trap in a fraction of a second. These sudden movements happen thanks to rapid changes in water pressure inside the plant's own cells, triggered directly by touch. To the insect involved, it's over in an instant. One moment, it's exploring an ordinary leaf, and the next, it's already caught. These particular plants tend to live in nutrient-poor soil, so catching and slowly digesting prey gives them the nitrogen they'd otherwise struggle to find. Watching one act feels almost unsettling, as though the plant itself had quietly made a decision. Some birds build structures elaborate enough to rival human craftsmanship. Male bowerbird in Australia are famous for constructing intricate bowers to attract a mate. Arched or hut-like structures carefully decorated with shells, flowers, feathers, and even small scraps of colorful plastic gathered from the surrounding area. Each individual male develops his own particular style, arranging every object by size, shape, or color specifically to impress a watching female. Weaver birds, meanwhile, build intricately woven nests that hang suspended from branches, complete with narrow entry tunnels specifically designed to deter predators. These small, feathered architects work with a level of precision and creativity that genuinely rivals human building, crafting homes and displays whose beauty and complexity are entirely their own. In certain hypersaline lakes, like the Dead Sea between Israel and Jordan, The water's salt concentration runs so high that it becomes far denser than the human body itself. That density allows people to float almost effortlessly on the surface without ever needing to tread water at all. The same extreme salinity makes these lakes largely inhospitable to most ordinary aquatic life, though a handful of specialized microorganisms manage to survive in the salty depths regardless. Swimming in water like that feels strange and unfamiliar, closer to lying on a thick, invisible cushion than actually moving through liquid, the buoyancy strong enough to hold a person upright with almost no effort required at all. And on the calm surface of an ordinary pond, water striders skim across the water using long, impossibly delicate legs, never once breaking through the surface. This is possible because their legs are covered in microscopic hairs that repel water entirely, combined with the natural surface tension of the water itself. Using quick, controlled movements, they glide effortlessly across the surface to catch prey or escape a predator, each small motion sending perfect ripples out across the water behind them. Watching them dart across a still pond feels almost like watching tiny skaters performing quietly on their own private stage, one small, rippling movement at a time. And on the calm surface of an ordinary pond, water striders skim across the water using long, impossibly delicate legs, never once breaking through the surface. This is possible because their legs are covered in microscopic hairs that repel water entirely, combined with the natural surface tension of the water itself. Using quick, controlled movements, they glide effortlessly across the surface to catch prey or escape a predator, each small motion sending perfect ripples out across the water behind them. Watching them dart across a still pond feels almost like watching tiny skaters performing quietly on their own private stage, one small, rippling movement at a time. Let's slow all the way down now and gather the vast, gentle picture we've built together tonight. We wandered from the quiet, teeming civilization living beneath an ordinary patch of soil, through ancient trees old enough to remember the earliest human civilizations, past deserts that were once green and lakes that shift color with the seasons. We drifted through storms that have lasted for centuries, past clouds heavier than mountains, and past a sky capable of briefly bending its own most familiar rules. We rested beside creatures that freeze solid and simply wake again, that survive without oxygen for months, that endure both boiling heat and total darkness with equal, quiet ease. We wandered through an ocean deeper than any mountain is tall, past whales singing across entire oceans, and past glaciers, moving so slowly they seem still, yet never truly are. And we found, again and again, the same soft, unhurried rhythm underneath every single story: patience, adaptation, and a quiet, endlessly inventive persistence, refined slowly over spans of time too vast for any single mind to hold all at once. Some of what we drifted through tonight was about survival, plants and animals adapting to extremes, finding ways to live in places where life should, by all rights, be impossible. Some of it was simply about beauty, colors, patterns, and landscapes that feel almost as though they were painted purely to be seen by someone, someday. And a great deal of it was about mystery, things we can only ever explain in part, leaving plenty of quiet room left over for wonder to keep growing on its own, undisturbed. As you rest now, you might picture the slow, silent pulse of a bioluminescent bay glowing gently in the dark, or the unhurried turning of a forest canopy quietly building its own clouds overhead. You might drift, in your mind, through a swaying underwater kelp forest, or stand for a moment beneath an ancient tree that has already seen more seasons pass than anyone could ever hope to count. The world is full of places you may never visit yourself, and yet they go on existing all the same, thriving, shifting, quietly holding on to their own secrets until someone, someday, finally takes the time to look closely enough to notice. The truth is, you never really have to travel far to find any of it. Sometimes wonder is simply right outside your own door, waiting patiently in the rustle of leaves, or in the cool, quiet scent of rain drifting in through an open window. Wherever you happen to be resting tonight, some small, quiet part of everything we've wandered through together is likely happening again, right now, somewhere nearby. A seed patiently waiting underground, a root quietly reaching for water, a slow, steady breath of moisture rising gently from soil into open sky. Let your own breathing settle into that same unhurried rhythm now. Let your thoughts slow the way a glacier slows, the way a cloud drifts, the way a stone, given centuries instead of minutes, might finally come to rest. There is nowhere you need to be right now, and nothing left to figure out before sleep finally arrives. The world will still be here, exactly as patient and endlessly full of stories as it has always been, whenever you happen to wake. Rest now. You've earned it. Good night.